course, always a pleasure to introduce to you. We knew him as the Hitman during the 70s and the 80s. Let's welcome in at this time Michael Easler as we pull him up and on video right now. There he is. Mike, how you doing tonight?
All right, how you doing? I got to get the light on. How you getting along? Good?
I'm doing good. Now, anytime that you think I look familiar to you, you tell me, and I'll tell you where from. How's that? Oh, I lost your voice. Let's see what happened. There you are. Can you hear me now?
I hear you clearly.
Okay, there we go. You were muted for some reason.
Okay.
But if any time you look at me and say, man, that guy looks familiar, just a little bit older than the last time I saw him, I'll tell you where from, okay?
All right. We're going to figure it out.
All right. Before the show ends, I'll tell you, okay? Hey, Mike, let me ask you this. Here's a guy, meaning yourself, that, was working on getting to the major leagues. And there was about I remember in the, I want to say it was the 70s, if I'm correct, where you had this period of time where you were going up and down from major league team to minor league team to major league team till right around 1980. And then you finally made it to stay. Talk about those years in the minor leagues. And did you ever get to the point as somebody that played that long in the minor leagues that you thought about maybe this isn't for me, or did you always know that your time was going to come?
Well, Larry, I think it had to be my 10th year in the minor leagues. I think it was 1978. I was told by the Pirates that I was going to make the 25-man roster. Chuck Tanner had me send my car and my clothes, my wife's clothes to Pittsburgh. In the very last game of the season, we were playing Boston, and I lost the ball in the sun for the last out of the spring training game. And I went home. I said, Brenda, I kind of get a gut feeling something's going to happen tomorrow. I got to the ballpark early that morning, and Chuck Tanner did call me in the office. He said, Mike, we're going to make a change. We're going to go with 14 pitchers or 15 pitchers instead of, an extra hitter. I said, well, Chuck, I sent everything to Pittsburgh. I sent my car, my clothes, my wife's clothes. He said, well, I'm sorry. You got to go report to AAA right now this morning. I said, no way. I said it to myself. I didn't say nothing to him. But I went home, told my wife, went home very dejected. Very last day of spring training, 78. So I got a plane ticket for my wife, sent her back to Texas, and I got a plane ticket to Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up. And I went home, and that's when I was really thinking about my 10th year in the minor leagues. It was my 6th year. Going into my 6th year at AAA, and I was just totally frustrated. But I got home. My dad had a lot of choice words for me about joining the team back, and you're a baseball player, and there's no quitting our attitude in our family. And he used some other words that were kind of I can't repeat now. He said, if you don't get your butt back to the minor league, and the AAA team was in Columbus, Ohio. So I was in Cleveland, so it was easy for me, to jump on a plane and get to Columbus about a week later. I sat out about a week though. I went home about a week. When I got back, I was fined like $2,500. I forgot, maybe more than that. I got fined and everything, but I went on and joined the team in Columbus, Ohio, and I ended up winning another batting title that year. I hit .330 that year with 18 home runs in Columbus, Ohio.
Right. Now that you finally get your opportunity and obviously you make the most of it, let's talk about the 1979 team. When you do get called up, you get an opportunity first. You get an opportunity, and it just works out that the team ends up winning the World Series as you're a part-time player. It's one thing you first, it wasn't even a complete year yet for you, and here you are, doing something that people play their whole career for and can't even get. how special not was just winning the World Series, but that team, Mike, was incredible. I mean, you had Bill Madlock, Willie Pop Stargell, Cobra, Dave Parker on that team. Of course, Omar Marino, Bill Robinson. I haven't even named the great pitching staff, but I believe Bibby was there, Ken Tocoli was there, Rodin was there. I mean, how special was that team?
Well, as a matter of fact, the following spring training, I went to camp with the Boston Red Sox. Halfway through spring training, I got a call from the general manager of Boston, Lou Gorman, I believe his name was. He said, Mike, we traded you back to the Pirates. I said, what? And I was having a good spring with the Red Sox. And I'm thinking about that American League. I can DH, I said, it's right where I belong. But it just wasn't my time for Boston to be there. So I said, okay, well, Brenda, I called my wife. I said, Brenda, we're going back to Pittsburgh. I said, we're going back to the minor leagues for another year. And I was so worried. I said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm under contract. I got to do what they told me. They traded me to the Pirates. But as soon as I walked in the clubhouse, it seemed like arms was open for me. Chuck Tanner called me in the office. He gave me a big hug. He said, welcome back. He said, now, I know last year, you were disappointed. You didn't make the ball club, and we went with an extra pitcher. He said, but next year, you're going to be on this year, you're going to be on the ball club. He said, get your clothes ready because we're going to Puerto Rico for an exhibition game. When I made that exhibition game to Puerto Rico, I knew that I was going to be on the ball club. And let me tell you something. It's like the heavens open, it was just a whole different feeling. Being around all these great athletes, as you say, Parker, Stargell, Madlock. Madlock wasn't there yet. I think we traded for him later on in the season. Bill Robinson, John Milner. I mean, these guys are great. I mean, I've been reading about them. I've been looking at them every day in the box scores. And finally, I was on the club as a 25th, as the fourth or fifth outfielder. And I made the ball club as a pinch hitter.
Now, like you said, some of these great players, and I have to ask you this question because you've had the opportunity to play with many great players. But one of the players that I always look at, that I always thought, and of course, I don't vote on it, but that should be in the Hall of Fame was always Dave Parker. And he's never made it in there. I mean, he was probably by far had during that era arguably one of the strongest, if not the best arms in right field, in the outfield. He could hit the ball. He was a 290 hitter. I mean, yes, he was shy of that magic number 3,000, just shy of 400 homers. But in your opinion, do you think Dave should at least be considered for the Hall of Fame?
There's no doubt in my mind, as well as other people's mind, that Dave Parker is a Hall of Fame player. In the middle 70s, he had to be one of the greatest athletes that ever played the game. Offensively, defensively, he had one of the great arms. He had an arm that, very similar to Roberto Clemente's. He ran the bases well. He hit for power. He won a couple of batting titles. And on the field and in the clubhouse, he was one of our leaders. And he showed that throughout his career when he went to Cincinnati and he went on to Oakland. Dave Parker was one of the greatest players that I ever played with. To me, I used to just watch him, how he went about his work and how he applied himself on the field. No winning attitude. I mean, the thing about it is, every day he got to the field, he was prepared to play baseball. No excuses. He played injured, had bad knees, hurt his arm. I remember he pulled his groin muscle a couple of times, but never missed a game. I watched him in the trainer's room with big ice packs on his knee. But then when you see him in the game, it looked like he was perfectly healthy. I said, I don't know how this man does it. But Dave Parker, to me, definitely should be a Hall of Fame ball player.
Now, Mike, for those that don't know, how did you get the nickname the Hitman?
That's a good one, Frank. That's a good one. During the year in 79, when we about 3 weeks to a month into the season, they were about to make a change and bring up another pitcher. And in my mind, I said, "Oh no, hope that's not Mike Easler again, being sent back to the minor leagues for the 11th year." And we were playing the Mets. Now against the Mets, the game was tied. Whatever the score was, it was tied in the 13th inning. Chuck Tanner had not used me yet as a pinch hitter. And I was in the clubhouse going crazy up there in Pittsburgh. And finally, they brought in Craig Swan. You remember Craig Swan?
Oh, yeah, for the Mets. Yep.
Yep. He threw hard right-handed from like 3/4, and the ball just exploded. Exploding. And he came in the 13th inning, and I was up on the, watching the game in the clubhouse, studying because I was ready. I was preparing myself to pinch it. And finally, Bob Skinner called me down. "Mike, it's your turn. It's time for your pinch it." I said, "It's about time. It's my time." So I went there. I was seething mad. I was so upset that they wouldn't use him until the 13th inning. Matter of fact, I think he pinch hit 2 pitchers before me. Rick Rhoden and Don Robinson pitched it before I did. I was so upset. So the very, very, very first pitch I seen Craig Swan threw, about 95, 96 fastball, bam, first swing, bam, hit it right to the back of the Three Rivers Stadium, pinch hit home run, won the ball game. A week later, we go to Atlanta, and I'm having dinner with my older brother, and we kept talking. "You hit that home run last week. You got to keep this up." Because at that time, people could come in the clubhouse. My brother used to come in the clubhouse, and everybody's calling, "Hey, Easy," because Mike Easler, Easy rhymes with easy. He said, "Man, you ain't easy." I said, "You got to tell them your name ain't Easy no more. Tell them your name is the Hitman." "I just can't change my name, Teddy." My brother's name was Teddy. He said, "Yes, you can." I said, you're in the entertainment business. You can do what you want to do." So that night, we were playing Atlanta, and I was playing New York again, excuse me. And I hit another pinch hit home run a week later against the Mets. And Chuck Tanner heard me in the interview saying, "I'm not easy no more. My name is the Hitman." And when Chuck Tanner came and patted me on the back with the writers there, he said, "Yeah, you are the Hitman." And from that day on, the nickname stuck for me pinch hitting. And that's how I got the name Hitman. And finally, I got a chance to play. I could really hit. They didn't know that. I could really, really, really hit.
Now, Mike, you got the pleasure of playing in Yankee Stadium and also, of course, Fenway Park, which obviously was very favorable to left-handed. I was always told it's favorable to left-handed hitters if you don't think about it. If you start thinking about it, obviously it could become an issue. I mean, did you find out playing in both those ballparks were beneficial to you as a hitter?
I believe if I would have played my whole career in Boston, I would have got 3,000 hits between me and you. I believe that ballpark was made for left-handed hitters. Reason. You're looking at the green monster every time you go to bat, left-handed hitter. The green monster is 300 feet away, whatever, but it's really, really, really high. But it didn't make a difference. So therefore, in my batting stance, if you notice my stance, I was always kind of in a crouch and kind of coiled in. My front shoulder's kind of in. I went to home plate trying to drive the ball off the green monster, which made me stay on the pitch longer. You see my front shoulder on that one? And it made me stay on the ball longer. I went there trying to hit the wall, which made me a better hitter because when I went to Yankee Stadium, now the short pitch is in right field. All of a sudden, you start opening that shoulder too quick and you come off of balls. And roll over to second base, you hit weak pop-ups in the infield until I made the adjustment in Yankee Stadium. Then I said, forget it. I'm just going back to my same Fenway Park swing, straightaway center. And I ended up hitting 300 my first year with New York. But my first season in Boston, I hit 313, I believe, with like 27 home runs.
Yeah, 27 homers.
That was that ballpark was made for me. Ted Williams, Fred Lynn. If you notice, Bernie Carbo had a good inside-out swing. All these guys that, left-handed hitters, man, Wade Boggs was a great hitter there in Boston. But when you go to Yankee Stadium, left-handers have a tendency to try to pull the ball, which if you're not disciplined, it will put you in a slump.
Now, Mike, how was it playing? I mean, you had a lot of great coaches, but how was it like playing for Billy Martin?
You know, Larry, I never really got a chance to play a full season with Billy. Billy came over there. I played for Lou Piniella the 2 years I was there. He was my manager. Billy Martin came back in there in 88.
Right.
Yeah, he came back in 88, but he was there earlier. Now, my brother-in-law, Cliff Johnson, my wife's brother, played for Billy Martin. So I really don't know Billy that well. I just went to spring training. That was my very last year in the big leagues. Well, I went to spring training, and I ended up 1988 retiring, and I ended up going to Japan for 2 years after that. So I had a chance to go to the spring training with Billy, but never played under Billy.
Right. And you know how I remember that? I was with you.
You were?
Yes.
Bless your heart. Isn't that beautiful? Were you?
I wasn't playing. I was working with you. I was actually, one of the guys on the field with you, chucking the ball with you,
yes.
Having catch with you, putting batting practice under the cages. So that's how I knew you were there when Billy was there, because that's when I was there.
1988.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing? It's a small world, isn't it?
Yep. I said, that's how I remembered. I remember you. I mean, we talk all the time, you and I. I mean, we just about whatever. But you, Gary Ward, Ricky Henderson.
Yes.
Yep. And so I remember. Oh yeah,
that year. What happened? Jose Cruz was there.
Good buddy of mine. We became good friends there. Because
really nice guy. I love Jose Cruz.
He had an unbelievable spring that year, remember?
Yes, and that's what got me traded. I mean, got me
right.
Because he ended up being the extra DH or whatever he was, because he was at the end of his career too. But I went on to Japan and played 2 more years and did pretty good, and I hung it up in 1990.
Now, what was it like? I always wonder this because you get so many successful ball players that have played over in Japan. What is the game in Japan like compared to the major leagues here?
Well, obviously, major league is tougher. Pitchers are better, consistent, threw harder. Bullpens threw real good. We played more of a wide open game, meaning hit for homers, doubles. Japan played more of a careful game, meaning you get a guy on first base, you bunt him over, and you try to hit a sacrifice fly. They did a lot of bunting there and a lot of fundamental, what you call small ball, that we call small ball over here. Now, they had great arms over here. They had good infielders, good defense. They really, you really talk about good defense and, just staying in the game. They played so many close ball games. Pitchers threw a lot of pitches over there, so they stayed in the game longer. And they didn't use the bullpen as much in Japan. But, boy, they had some talented players over there. And it's starting, in the last decade or two, it's starting to show that Japan has some really, really good athletes over there. Mm-hmm.
Now, Mike, you obviously was a designated hitter at one time. Yes. And you see with some of the changes they're implementing into baseball, because of your success, that you had staying in the major leagues, part of that as a designated hitter, are you in favor of both leagues using it or for them to keep it the same as it is right now?
Larry, I hear a lot about that. To me, I played in National League. I played in the American League. I love the National League, different brand of baseball, faster game, more strategic, more moves the manager got to make. I kind of enjoyed the National League when I was younger and didn't mind playing the outfield. But as I got older and my legs and back weren't as strong as they were running around, I thought American League was great to go over there and DH. I think they just keep it both just like it is and just switch it. Maybe in the World Series, maybe at the National League Park. I think that's what they do now.
That's what they do now, yeah.
American League, you use it. So I think it's just to stay the same, just for the mystique of it, if nothing else. I like to see it stay the same. I like National League Baseball. I like it when the pitcher hits it earlier, and there's a lot of different strategy to go along with National League Baseball.
Mike, do you miss the small ball game? Like the game they play today is obviously hit a home run or strike out. In your days, it was all about having the ability to hit the ball. Not just even though you could hit the long ball, you could also hit the ball. Do you miss the old school type ball game?
I do. I think they may see it maybe in Chicago this year.
Right, with La Russa.
Exactly, with Tony coming back. Dusty Baker kind of stays with that kind of game, kind of, sort of. They use the whole field. They hit behind the runner. They use the hit and run. Obviously button guys over when they really need it. That's just baseball. Just seeing them guys. And as a hitting coach, I'm watching these guys taking them big swings over and over. Guys in scoring position taking that big home run swing. When they get 2 strikes, taking them big home run swing. To me, that's not baseball. That's selfish ball. They just try to put up numbers to get paid.
Right.
Other hitting coach, I put it this way. The guys who can hit home runs will be swinging for home runs. The guys who had to get on base will be trying to get base hits and choking up a little bit and going the other way and learning how to bunt. If I was a batting coach in the major leagues now. I just say you got to know who you are, what you're capable of doing, and stay within your realm. Don't try to be a home run hitter because you hit 12 or 15 home runs one year. That's not a home run hitter. You're a line drive hitter. 20, 25, 30 home runs. Back in our day, when you hit 20 plus home runs, you were a bona fide home run hitter, not 10 or 15 by luck.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. In your 15-year career, if you have to look back from your debut, I believe, which was with the Astros, to your last at-bat, might have been with the Yankees, I'm not sure. But when it came, what is the one memory that sticks out the most to you?
In my career?
Yeah.
Being named to the 1981 All-Star Game in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio.
And that had to be special. A lot of fans.
That was so. And if you remember that year, 1981, we had a lockout that year.
It was the shortest season.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
The lockout, I think we missed like 2 months out of the season. And the first game back was the All-Star game in Cleveland, Ohio. That's the one I made. And that was my hometown, my whole family, my father, mother, everybody was there to see me play. And that's the only All-Star team I ever made. Dallas Green picked me as an extra outfielder. And Dallas Green, every time I saw him after that, before he passed, I used to hug him and say, "Thank you, Dallas. I really appreciate it." He said, "Mike, you deserve it." And I never forget Dallas Green ever. He picked me for my only and one and only All-Star game in 1981 in my hometown. We had like 75,000 people out there. Beautiful.
Now, was that still Municipal Stadium?
Yes, the old Cleveland Stadium.
Old Cleveland Stadium, that's right.
Yeah. We had a whole lot of people. Matter of fact, we had about 5 or 6 Pirates that made that team. Parker made it. Matlock made it. I believe Phil Garner made it. And myself. Yeah, we had about 5 Pirates that made that 81 All-Star game that year.
Yep, that was still a good team back then.
Oh, man, we had a good team. Yeah, we still had a good team. We had injuries. We had some guys hurt, so that's why we didn't win, because that following year in 80, when I finally got a chance to play 80, we had a real good season, but guys got hurt down the stretch where Philadelphia kind of snuck it out on us, and I think they beat us by 3 or 4 games. But we had a great team then in 80, the next year. I think Parker got hurt down the stretch, and Willie hurt his knee or something like that. And our pitching, I think the pitching was kind of hurting. But we still only ended up about 3 or 4 games out that year. Philadelphia beat us, like the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yep. Well, listen, my friend, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on Frankly Speaking Sports tonight.
Well, I truly enjoyed it, Frank. I mean, I'm still coaching. I'm still teaching privately here in Las Vegas. I work with kids all the time. I'm enjoying it. I work with Mo Vines. Mo Vine has a batting academy in
right.
Florida.
Familiar with that.
Yeah. I do a lot of work with him. And as a matter of fact, I'm in the process of writing a book. And this book, biography, should be out probably within the next I believe 6 months or so, like the middle of next year, I should have my book out, and I'm not sure the name of it. It's going to be about the Hitman. And all the stories we talk about, it's going to be in there. I mean, I had 10 years in the minor leagues. Actually, people don't realize I had 10 years in winter baseball too. So I was playing 10 years nonstop from 18 to 28 years old. And then I finally got the break at, the year 79. That's the year we won the World Series. It was like a miracle. Our first 4 year in the big leagues, we won the World Series.
And, ironic story, you talk about it being a small world, how you and I first met. When you were with the Yankees during that spring, back in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because that's where we had, as you know, spring training for the Yankees back then on Commercial Boulevard. Well, I went to college just south of where it was, St. Thomas University.
Really?
Well, I met this young first baseman while I was in college with the baseball team who was playing first base. You might know him from Seton Hall. His name was Mo Vaughn. So Mo Vaughn, your last year, was just finishing up college.
Isn't that amazing? Let me tell you something. Me, Mo, I just left him this weekend. I went down to Boca Raton. We're working on we're working on the video and an iPod or something like this to go with on hitting. And Mo Vaughn, when I got a chance to work with him in Boston, it seemed like our personalities just mixed instantly. And one of the nicest guys you ever meet. He has a son now that's 8 years old that's playing. Mo said, I don't want nobody else coaching my son but you. So he flies me down to Boca Raton to work with his little son. Matter of fact, his son's name is Leroy Vaughn. I think he named after his dad. And his son is 8 years old playing club ball. He's the only 8-year-old. No, I think there's 2 other 8-year-olds on the team. He's about 85 pounds and hit his first home run the other day, Saturday, over the right field fence at 8 years old and 85 pounds. It was an amazing thing to see. And Mo,
you're a lefty hitter, I bet.
Oh man, he's gonna be a good. He's not a big kid. He's 85 pound little skinny dude. Man, this boy hit that baseball and we got him locked in. Mo has me teaching him like I taught him when he was in the big league. I said, Mo, he's just 8 years old. But the kid is going to be a really, really good player. He's a nice kid. But Mo Vaughn and me are good friends to this day.
That's awesome. That is great. All right, my friend. Well, you have a great holiday. Stay safe out there, okay?
I will, Larry. You too. And God knows, bless all these people, that's being sick and dying from COVID. It's just a sad time, and it's really, we need to pray for a lot of families, that's losing people and people falling prey to that virus. I mean, really, that's all we can do is pray and just hope that it doesn't touch us, That's all you can do.
I completely understand. Mm-hmm. Well, if you need anything, I'm always here for you, Mike.
All right, Larry. Enjoyed talking to you. I enjoyed this very much.
Me too. Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. That was the great Hitman, Mike Easler. Played with the Yankees, the Minnesota Pirates. Had a great year in Boston as well.